Oh yeah, everybody. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. I am super excited about this show. We're going to learn how to help you save some money while also helping you to make smart investments that are going to make you more money. Stick around. We'll find out. Don't worry. Anthony's here. He's just having a little technical trouble.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality. All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to No Vacancy Live. I, of course, am Glenn Hausman. Anthony will be here. His Wi-Fi is acting a little bit weird right now. And I got to tell you, that's one of the strange things that we have. Oh, there he is. There he is. Anthony, your Wi-Fi is, that's looking fantastic. You're frozen. You're looking good over there. How are you, sir? I guess not so great. All right, so back to it. Anthony's having a little bit of Wi-Fi trouble. We will get him on. And of course, the funny thing we were just talking about before going on air is how you got to just deal with these things in the COVID land, how you just got to roll with the punches. And that's something we're going to do today. Let's see if Anthony is back and ready to go. I'm going to take that as a giant.
How am I?
Not so good, Anthony. Not so good. All right, so we're just going to get on with it. And when Anthony comes together, we will get him back on. Let's welcome to the show Mr. Peter Salveson. You remember him from just a couple of weeks ago, helping you guys save money through lowering your expenses. Stephen McKay, our great friend over at Almo Hospitality, one of the big supporters of me personally and my company. I thank him so much for everything he's done, and he's helping you guys make sure your guests stay healthy and safe. And Dan Ryan, co-founder of Blue Canary, somebody that I've always admired in our business and has done some incredible pivoting over the last year or so. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Glenn.
This is so weird to have a bunch of white guys on the show today. I mean, we tried so hard to get out of that trap and mix it up a little bit, but I guess today we're going to be going in that direction. So,
Glenn, I haven't been on with you for a while, and I got to say, man, your hair is really starting to grow out there, brother. Wow, that's super trendy. Woo-hoo.
Here's the thing, Stephen, and Stephen is yes, he. Where did we decide you're from? Staten Island or something like that?
Yeah, by the accent, Dan nailed it. Yep, Staten Island.
Yes, and he's the lost member of Flight of the Conchords. Yeah, Stephen, my hair has gotten this long because of two things. Number one, I'm becoming increasingly uncomfortable going outdoors. And number two, I'm trying to make my mom and my wife happy. They seem to like the longer hair. So I'm trying to just go with it. But I just tell them that it's mostly, Stephen, just laziness. I don't want to bother going.
Well, I dyed mine gray for my wife, and she loves it. So I decided I'm going to keep it.
That's excellent. So thank you guys so much for being here. And again, if you're just tuning in, Anthony's having a little bit of technical issues. We will get him on air just as soon as humanly possible. But one of the things that is so important to discuss is how you folks out there can get through. I think, guys, one of the things that we thought is this mess would be over by now. I really thought last week I was going to be at the America's Lodging Investment Summit, the annual event that happens in Los Angeles every year. I thought I would be getting back to my regular routine, but I think all of us were kind of surprised by how long this has been going on, the depth of this crisis, the length of this crisis, the need to adapt and change. And that's why I wanted to have you folks on here today. Peter, it was great having you on a couple of weeks ago, talking about how hoteliers have an opportunity now to rethink how much their properties are worth and therefore how much they are spending in property taxes. Maybe you could just go over that real quick for us once again to highlight what you're seeing out there in the market.
Sure. Our service is a little bit contrarian. We are more helpful when business is bad. And I think there's still a resistance among hotels.
You're a hero right now, aren't you?
Right. So we I was actually in Orlando last week, and I met with a few hotels.
Awesome.
And hotels that usually in Orlando are operating with over 100% occupancy, as crazy as that sounds, are now down in the 7-10% occupancy. No matter how you look at it, that's hard to generate enough revenue to cover costs. So one of the biggest costs we go after to reduce is the property tax expense. And in the property tax world, your property taxes are based on the value as of January 1st of every year, typically, like a photograph. What knowledge we have as of January 1st, that can be used to go to the assessor for what they call a taxable or market value. And we think that 90 to 95% of hotels will benefit from asking for relief on the property taxes. And just last week, I was talking with someone. I realized if you decide you don't want to file a property tax relief action, that the tax rates are likely to go up because the budget's going to stay the same. All the properties that have dropped in value that get relief will have their basis reduced. So as bad as business is, if you don't file for a relief on your property taxes, you could very well pay more in tax this year than you did last year, even though business is down. So a big part for most jurisdictions is looking at the income and expense, the profit and loss statement. So it's a pretty straightforward methodology, but we've collected a lot of data that supports industry that your property taxes will be affected until probably 2024.
Wow.
So get in line, be first to ask for help, and it's first come, first served basis. So it's the time. Now's the time. Don't ask, you don't get.
That is a very important lesson that we can all learn. Because if you don't ask, then why is the jurisdiction that you're in going to make any changes? It's up to all of you out there to be proactive with change. You are running low occupancies. Even if you're in a resort area, you're still suffering deleteriously. Peter, it's absolutely right. Orlando has been really hit hard by what's going on. We're seeing like the Walt Disney World complex operating at supposedly 35%. A good number of their hotels are closed. There's a lot of pressure on hoteliers out there. Stephen, you're also down in Florida right now, but of course you're working coast to coast. I will say, I hoped to have the incredible Hanover Standard fogging kit, which you had provided us, that we featured on the show here before. But I gotta tell you, my wife took it to her school. She's got filthy, dirty kids over there.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad it's being used like that. That's fantastic.
What's interesting is they're working on they've moved all the classrooms around, and her classroom is now with another classroom in the library. So it's a great solution for her to make sure all the surfaces are taken care of in nearly an instant, so everyone in their class could feel more secure. So what was it like, Stephen, pivoting to all of these new products that you're seeing is so essential right now to help bring safety, security, and confidence back to the hotel industry?
It was difficult learning all this stuff, safety measures, all that sort of thing. Because a lot of people, you think about chemicals, you think, oh my God, there's danger in the chemicals and so forth. So it was difficult to learn. But even when you and Anthony got yours and you used them, it was so neat to see how easily you unpacked this stuff and used it. And it's affordable. That's the other thing, because a lot of people were taking advantage of the market. Electrostatic sprayers were very expensive, still are. Whereas the solution that we have is very affordable, very, very transportable. In fact, Glenn, we've even got a mini fogger now. So the fogging kit that you have, we've got a mini version. So for smaller spaces, or maybe the back offices of hotels and little meeting rooms, we've got the mini fogger now as well. So we've extended because it's been so popular.
All right, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, so and that works with like either a battery, or you could plug it in, right?
That one's got a battery option, which is really great, because the bigger one, the batteries were very expensive. So this one's corded, or it has a battery option. Comes with a nice little container that you can fill up the fogger with. And of course, we can supply through our network, resupply the juice. We call it the juice for you.
Right. It reminds me of that really bad Saturday Night Live skit from the 90s. Hey, you got to do juice. You remember that?
Yes.
That's terrible. I don't know what about that show. They take one line, repeat it over and over and over again, and hope at some point you're going to laugh.
And I think, Glenn, the other thing to mention about this stuff too is that when we launched this and you had it, it was maybe that was 6 months ago. But we all know that this clean stuff is not going to go away. People are going to demand that the spaces are clean and sanitized going forward, more so than ever. So this stuff is not, I don't think, going to go away.
No, I agree with you. I don't think it's going to go away at all. And if you think about it logically, people have always wanted clean, comfortable spaces, right? One of the biggest sayings that I think, if it's one of those, if you had a nickel for every time, we'd all be rich. They all say clean, comfortable room. Clean is always before comfortable, and that's going to be essential. Dan, what are you thinking about when it comes to clean rooms in the future, and how are you pivoting to help hoteliers, think about that?
Well, Stephen, you bring up a really good point about people expecting clean rooms. And what I've found is we all expect it, but we've turned a blind eye to it. We started Blue Canary to really help coach teams on site, make rooms clean, get them better. But what we found is every hotel has the correct product. It has the correct people. It has great people, and they invest a lot of money in the people, and the products all work effectively. But what we're finding is that the process is often done Stephen's way or Glenn's way or my way, but really there's one right way. So what we do is we started Blue Canary bringing hospital level protocols over into the hospitality world. And really what it's all about with our clients is coming in on a quarterly basis, and in some cases on a monthly basis, doing 2-day residencies and really measuring how clean something is or isn't so we can visibly see it. Then if things are not clean, we take it as an opportunity to learn. If things are clean, we celebrate. But really it's about changing people's habits to not do it Glenn's way or Stephen's way or my way, but to do it the right way. And we do that through continual coaching and really changing behaviors and building cultures of safety.
I love that. Building cultures of safety. Now, Peter, you're not necessarily building cultures of safety. You're taking hotels and helping them save expenses, but you do more than just property tax savings, correct?
That is correct. The other large expense item that every hotel has is their utility costs. And we do reduction analysis for electric, gas, water, and sewer. And right now we actually have a product that probably 95% of hotels would benefit from, immediate savings on the water and sewer costs. That is something that we actually have no upfront costs. So all of our services are based on generating a fee out of what you actually save and actually after you save it. That goes from the property tax to utilities, and all the money that you save, you can use to buy more stuff to help keep the place clean. So,
Right. Stephen, what do you think about that?
Oh, thank you, Peter. I can't thank you enough for creating that revenue for us. Yeah, look, the reopening stuff is big. We've been talking about this. We're all been waiting for it. It's around the corner. We trust with the vaccines. So we want places to be prepared. Yeah, exactly. We want places to be prepared. So you asked about what other products are we looking at. We also introduced our RC Stars digital display hand sanitizers. And I'll give you a good example of why I think these really work well. I actually went and just stayed at a hotel a few weeks back. I just wanted to get out of the house. So my wife and me went down to the Fort Lauderdale Beach. We stayed at a hotel. And you go in and they've got all those little just spray sanitizers, right? Yep, there it is. And they've got plastic signs taped to their elevators or taped to the wall next to it. And these are static signs that they can't change. So I call this a digital display with a sanitizer connected. So this is Android based, this one. You can put a CMS software in there. So now you can get messages across regularly. You can use it as a schedulizer if you want for conference rooms. So if you set up meeting rooms, once people come back in, you can use it as a schedulizer. They can sanitize on the way through. And it saves all these. This hotel was a nice hotel I was staying at, a high-class hotel, and they had stuff taped next to their sanitizing unit. It just didn't fit. And this can be used again. It will carry on being used. You can carry on changing the signage whenever you like. So that's just another product there, Glenn, that we're looking for the openings and can be used in many different spaces.
Right. I think that's pretty clever because it serves, those two purposes. Once, you can educate and inform customers about what's going on as they're spending the time cleaning their hands. So it doesn't necessarily have to be safety protocols that are listed there. It could be other hotel messaging. It could be something as simple, Stephen, right, as our restaurant is open.
Yes.
Or I remember talking to your team and Mr. Greg Corcota over there, and he was sharing with me how you could have it like in your quick dining area and have the menu on there.
If you're lining up for a seat, you can see the menu on the display. While you're cleaning your hands, rather than touching a menu or doing a QR code right while you're standing there. So it's just a way of really think of even corporate buildings. I know we're on a hotel show here, but even corporate buildings, as you enter the corporate building, it can have signage about the floors and who's on each floor and sanitize your hands. So this whole static thing with the static sanitizer, I just think is a little archaic, and this just modernizes it and can be utilized in many, many ways.
Right. Now, one of the things that Almo is, they're not just Almo Hospitality. Almo Corporation works in a lot of different sectors. And Stephen, we've had a chance to do some content together along with your Samsung Healthcare partners. So there's a lot of overlap that we're seeing right now from hospitality to healthcare. For those of you who've watched our show a number of times, you know that we like to cover that topic from time to time. Dan, I mean, that's a natural for you. You're doing a little of both. Healthcare to hospitality, hospitality to healthcare, that sort of thing. How do you see the two worlds kind of coming together to make sure that everybody could ultimately be safer than they ever have before, which will help us get back to business?
Yeah, I think the number one issue is we do not want the hotel experience to be anything like the hospital experience, but to create a clean, safe environment. By taking the best practices from hospitals and bringing them into hospitality, you can still be a warm, hospitable place. But it really takes best practices. It's training, it's coaching, it's really, again, I keep saying this, it's changing behaviors. And what we're seeing is that, and Peter, thank you for finding money for a lot of these hotels, but we're seeing tremendous interest, not just in hotels, but also as offices are coming back to work. They want to make sure, like, how are we keeping our environment safe for our teams? Because for the teams, whether it's the frontline employees in a hotel, like the housekeepers, the front desk, any of the ops team, engineering, or even in offices, just the workers, everyone wants to do the best that they can to take care of their teams. Because if you take care of your teams, the customers, all the other stakeholders are really taken care of as well.
Yeah, Peter, I see you nodding over there. Taking care of teams, that seemed to trigger you. What are you thinking?
It's when I was in Orlando last weekend, just for the record, I'm going to go there every 3 weeks until through June.
Wow.
That everybody down there was so friendly. It's a natural, and when that happens and everybody feels safe and part, that it's a better place to be. And so when you're talking about taking care of the people on the front line, that absolutely shows up front when you walk through the door.
Yeah. And Peter, just to build on that also, like where I was starting with that is there's tremendous interest from all these people on the office side. Okay, the businesses are there, they're running, but on the hotel side, it's really this existential crisis that we find ourselves in. So while we have tremendous interest, a lot of the hotels are just trying to find a way to survive right now. So they're like, okay, we're either closed, we're on skeleton staff, or hey, we're in the drive. Give us a proposal. You'll be the first person we call when we reopen. For the hotels that are within driving distance of major metropolitans that haven't suffered that much, they're signing up and they want to do the best they can for their teams. They want to communicate that, like with Stephen's billboard. So much of this is communication, like for that electronic display. But when our clients are working with us, they're able to tell a story to their clients or to their guests that they're going above and beyond. They're able to tell their teams to help with retention and empowerment and just overall safety. So really, if you can control the story on safety and hygiene, and you really mean it, I think that when everything starts coming back, there's a place for all of this. And
you've got a protocol, Dan, that I just love, because a lot of this product gets thrown at people. And I'm sure housekeeping and all those, they go, well, what do you want me to do with it? They're not taught how to use it. There's no set protocol. And if I could read the actual protocol of the hotel and what they go through with cleaning, it may stop me having to take a bucket full of disinfectant stuff and wiping it all down myself, because I'm confident of that protocol that's in place.
And that's a really good point, Stephen, because when we first started Blue Canary, it's almost a year now. Step one was, we're going to help all these hotels develop their protocols, and we're going to take that from the hospitals and bring them over. But what we found is everyone was really good at developing protocols, from the big brands to the independents, and really thoughtful. Everyone came up with these great protocols. But what we're finding is when you talk to the general manager, or you talk to the head of rooms, or you talk to the front desk attendant, and they get this, like, these protocols drop down, they're like, how do we make this come to life?
Right.
So really, that's where we come in and coach and really work on changing behavior.
Got it. Now that's smart.
That's interesting. Now, Peter, Dan said something a couple of minutes ago that triggered something to me. Hotels are closed. That affects their income, which might affect their valuation. So do you feel, in your professional opinion, that there's a possibility that hotels that have been closed might have even more of an opportunity to save on property taxes during this difficult time?
Absolutely. And actually, assessors have this little toolkit when things go bad. So when a location is closed, a lot of times they have the ability to convert it to storage. So you have different parts of your hotel. And actually, one of the hotels I stayed in, there was 2 buildings, and only one building, maybe 50%, was being occupied.
Right.
So that means the assessor has a tool that makes it easier for them to help you out. They then treat that other half of the building as warehouse, because you're just storing furniture. And there are a lot of tricks that they have and to make it easier to meet your request for some type of relief. But at the statistic, I think, is 1 out of hotels was still closed at the end of last year. And that certainly is the case in Orlando. And there's even inventory coming online down there, partially built hotels. So So the other part of that question is, if you have a hotel that's not got its occupancy permit yet, you actually can get a huge reduction on that, because it's not a hotel yet. It's actually just a partially built building that's storing stuff. So there are a lot of ways that we can approach an assessor next to them and give them this information. As I said last time we talked, was better data.
Right.
We can actually give them a path to a lower reduction that doesn't jeopardize their the relationship they have in the government.
All right, so let me ask you a question then to follow up on what you just said. I recall during the Great Recession, what the casino resorts did in Las Vegas is they closed off entire floors, for example. Now, I'm not saying that they were going to, work with Clark County to save any money on their property taxes, but it did change. It did change how they operated the hotels. I'm curious. I'll ask you the question directly. Being based on your warehouse statement, if you have a 5-story hotel, maybe you close the bottom 2 floors. Is that advantageous to the hotelier as opposed to just putting guests on all of those floors?
So it is a stronger argument. A lot of times I've seen hotels like remodeling 3 or 4 floors, and they'll just keep it closed off. If you don't have specific floors or sections of a building closed, we can still approach on the idea that you have a percentage room not generating revenue and really not costing anything other than maintenance. So we can go the same approach, just slightly different speech. That in general terms, the parts of the building that are not generating revenue, we can take a massive deduction.
Right. Excellent. So I think that really tells me that even if you don't know how to approach it, partnering with somebody like Peter, who has expertise in there, they can ask you as the owner the right questions to help deliver results on your behalf. Anthony, can you hear us, sir?
Yeah, Ken, do you think owners, listen, we all know that hotel owners are very frugal. Do you think coming out of this, they're just going to be more frugal and they're just going to see more expense, that this is just more expense and there's more people I have to deal with?
I want to, since my work is mostly cost reduction, I'm going to throw out my unprofessional opinion on spending is I think they're going to look for a way to compete. And I think that's what Dan and Stephen are talking to. What is the best solution?
Dan?
Peter, what's interesting where you were talking about occupancy of 10 to 20%, I heard that historically throughout the summer and then into the fall. And there was this weird time in November, December, calling and speaking to owners and managers. They started saying, oh yeah, we're operating at 90%, we're in the weeds. I'm like, what are you talking about? But it turns out they took 70% of their rooms out of circulation. So they were operating at 90% of the 30.
Right. That makes sense. I've had people say that to me, like, there's no way, but that's what they're doing. Yeah. I get it.
I haven't been on the show every day, Glenn. Do we see rates going up? Are hoteliers being forced to put rates up when they come back online to help build revenues quicker? Is that something that you've seen out there?
It is something that we've seen, but I wouldn't say it's widespread. Hoteliers have dropped rates in many instances. And Stephen, this is where it's like the haves and the have-nots. And in this case, it's the ones that are highly educated on revenue management and the ones that are working from a place of fear. A lot of mom and pop organizations that don't have a big infrastructure behind them are quicker to drop their prices because they're scared if they don't fill the hotel rooms, they won't be able to feed their family, right? So you got these competing forces that are working against each other. A lot of hoteliers that we see on here, for example, our good friend Chris Green at Chesapeake Hospitality, who's a management company that's got upwards of 50 hotels, they're trying their best to maintain rates because they understand that lowering rates is not going to generate demand. It's just going to make you lose more money. Dan, is that something that you're seeing?
Well, I am seeing for the types of clients that really have turned into our sweet spot right now, because they're the ones with the occupancy being a driving distance from a major metro. I wouldn't say that they're raising their prices, but they're definitely holding serve. Actually, one of our clients out on the eastern end of Long Island is they're raising their prices. They're getting ready to raise their prices as we get closer to the spring and the summer, because there's going to be tremendous demand, especially if these vaccines don't get rolled out very quickly. I think people are still going to want to go to drive-to destinations, and those types of hotels that many times are mom and pop have a tremendous opportunity to hold serve and actually raise their prices once occupancy starts ticking up in those specific targeted markets.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of feel like there's an opportunity to really raise rates as the industry starts to come back because of this pent up demand. Now, the first few months of the year are going to be tough going, but I think once we hit that spring break period, I think that's when you're going to see a lot of people going out. Stephen, you've been traveling along this time. You're going to be heading up to Kentucky horse country anytime soon.
Yeah, well, I hope to get out. We haven't been able to get out and about. I can travel, but there's just no one to really visit right now. But I just want to talk a trend that we're seeing, Glenn. And you talked about the haves and the have-nots, but the folks that were building hotels, they delayed them a little bit, but now they're saying, okay, things are turning around. We're going to finish building the hotel. So we're seeing some action going on there. Other hoteliers are also saying, man, if I'm going to be competitive when this comes back, my hotel better be up to par. It better have everything clean, yes, but modern as well. And so we're finding that there's a lot of upgrading going on where folks are saying, now's the time to invest to make the hotel look and feel better. And then that I feel they can afford a better rate if that's the case. Why not put your rates up?
Yes, Stephen, I completely agree. As a matter of fact, tomorrow I have a special bonus audio-only podcast coming on with our good friend Bruce Ford of Lodging Econometrics discussing just that topic. So make sure you get our audio podcast and you'll get that one. Peter.
And Glenn. Oh,
yeah. Yes, Dan.
I'm sorry, Glenn, just on the Bruce topic, when the three of us were talking, he threw out a metric that of all of the hotels that were actually had broken ground and were building, only 3% of them went on hold or stopped, which was that was a shocking statistic for me that you pulled out of Bruce.
Yes, and it was really uncomfortable reaching in there and having to pull it out. But I will say this: a lot of these projects were previously funded, and once a project is funded, it's most likely going to go forward. That, I think, Dan, combined with the notion that none of us expected this to be going on as long as it did, allowed people to continue because they're like, oh, this will be done by XYZ time. The thing I'm most excited about was in Orlando, Hilton made a giant announcement that they're going to be building in one of those little areas of Disney World that's not actually Disney World property, but it's within the Disney World property, a 10,000 unit complex that's going to be there. And they're going to have a lot of individual homes, kind of like the incredible Margaritaville Resort does have down there. I think them opening in 3-4 years, That is a smart move, which brings me back to you, Peter. Hotels that are not open, how are valuations even figured out, and how are property taxes even figured out for a place that hasn't opened? And if you open, if you were a year or two ago, how would it be different than opening up this year?
So closed hotels that anticipate opening again, we can look forward to the anticipated revenue year or two from now and discount cash flow that back. So really it's a holding cost plus the opportunity of money, but there is still a value there if we think that it will reopen. If it won't reopen, the worst case scenario, it's the value of the land, which is still pretty high down in Orlando, Kissimmee, minus demolition. And I did see a couple properties that were in the process of being converted to either shopping or some other type of public use. So there will be some conversion as the oldest hotels fall out of service and don't return. And as you mentioned, these new properties are coming on with not the newer amenities and newer designs. That it'll be a natural progression in the industry, but the valuation for closed property there are a couple ways to get to that, and it's not going to be zero, but could be a 50 to 60% less than what the tax is right now.
Wow. So even if you're not open, there's an opportunity to connect with Peter over at brightsupport.net to be able to lower those crosses. Matthew Taramina says the crossings, in reference to what I was just talking about with Hilton. No, the crossings is going to be closing in August. The whole thing is going to be leveled and turned into like an off-ramp for the highway or something like that for Disney World access. What we're talking about is an 1,100-acre resort complex bordering Walt Disney World that's going to feature a Conrad Hotels and Resorts and a whole lot more of stuff out there. So, Stephen, think of Florida. You're in Florida. People, I think, when they get to be traveling, they're going to want to spend more time outside. And that's why I think it's so important to start thinking about what those outdoor amenities are going to be, right? We saw the rise of the fire pit over the last 5-7 years or so. Now, people just want to hang outside as much as possible. And I know that you are focused with your Cape Soleil line a lot on outdoor stuff. So let's hear you talk a little bit about what you're seeing outdoors while I run a little bit of a video here for you.
Absolutely. You mentioned Almo as a corporation that I work for. We have a lot of different divisions, and one of which we do have our furniture line. This is our furniture line, Cape Soleil. This was a custom color, custom look that we did for a new courtyard in Texas. And these are all our tables and chairs here, and we have the lounges. You mentioned fire pits. We have the fire pits. We have the heat lamps. We have the umbrellas as well. So this was a complete fit out we did because we know now that outdoor dining is even more prevalent than it used to be. And having been to a number of parties where really the furniture being outside, it degrades pretty quickly and it needs replacing quite often. I've noticed that a lot of places do need new furniture. So we've bought this furniture line alongside our other lines at Almo, and it's been very successful. In fact, in COVID times, it's accelerated to where we can't keep up with demand.
Wow. Yeah, wow. That's really good news. I didn't realize that you had the heat lamps over there. That's something that we need over here at the Houseman Resort Pool Club and Smokehouse. Contact me. There was such a run on them. All of the big box stores, none of them had those sort of things.
Hey, Glenn and Stephen, talking about that outdoor dining, a company I work with out of Miami in a different business, they are piloting these outdoor cabanas, and they're working with a friend of mine in New York City who has a restaurant. So he has a corner restaurant, and they're these kind of cabanas that just plop in there, and then you can do seating outside with heating and fans. It's a company called Tucci is working on it. And I think that one of the great things that's coming out of this COVID pandemic is New York City, as beat up as it is right now. I think the whole outdoor dining experience and bringing the outside or the inside out and how everything is going to be encroaching onto the streets. I'm really excited to see how that goes, because the city, which normally regulates that very much, has really been turning a blind eye to it and allowing it to kind of germinate into this new thing. And we're seeing some really super innovative things there that are exciting to me.
You just said something really, really interesting, because the big trend in hospitality over the last number of years has been bringing the outside inside, and now the actual opposite of bringing the inside to the outside. Peter, have you been having any good outside-inside experiences lately?
The hotel I stayed in Orlando was pushing out because they had a lake that actually I didn't even know was in Orlando, and I've been going 20 years. So that actually is a great. I've always seen space outside as being unused, as wasted space.
Right.
The one I had actually had turned tiers going up to the top floors into seating viewing areas, which I don't think that would have been there a year ago. So it's a great move.
And that space, and that space too, Glenn. When you look at it, I mean, Samsung's a great supporter of your show too, as you know. And you've got outdoor technology, you've got the outdoor furniture, you've got the heat lamps. So you can turn that space into a total living space. And look at the playoffs that have just gone on with the football and stuff like that. You can be outside, enjoying your meal, enjoying your drink, watching the game, staying warm, all that sort of stuff, and it's extra space that they can use, because their space inside has become contracted because they've had to leave gaps, 6 foot spaces, and so they need that outdoor space to allow more people to dine.
Speaking about that, let me do a shameless plug for you. Peerless AV, one of your great partners over there, they specialize in outdoor television and stuff.
They do.
It didn't even occur to me, not only should you have the seating and the heat lamps out there, but really creating a whole entertainment outdoor recreation complex. I've seen that be successful in Orlando. It can definitely be successful in most markets. And I think people are more attuned to this. And Dan, you're a New Yorker like me. We're getting used to sitting outside in all types of weather, particularly right now as it's flurrying outside. I'm sure there are folks out there that are enjoying themselves and getting a bite to eat on the street.
Absolutely. And then, Peter, I have a question for you as far as trends you're seeing, because I've gotten a tremendous amount of interest from these new hybrid hotel models that it's an extended stay or nightly rate. Let's say it's a 300 unit place, so you can do an extended stay or nightly. But then also they're doing longer term leases that people can sublet throughout the property. And I'm literally in the past 3 weeks, I must have gotten 10 reach outs from companies like that, where they're not so brand affiliated at all. They're kind of these independent things, but they operate like a multifamily, but they also have a hotel component. I'm curious to see, are you seeing that as a larger trend, and what are your thoughts on it?
I think that's a genius move. So in valuation of property, there's a thing called highest and best use. We can all easily say that having a vacant space is not the highest and best use. I did see several properties as I'm driving down the 192 in Orlando that looked like they were converting to apartments. Mm-hmm. And that is a perfect solution if you understand that we have until 2024 to recover. So properties that have that ability, and I think you're talking specifically about the properties where you check in automatically and you get in, you go to your room. But those are great ways to convert to a lease that locks in money, revenue. I mean, it's all about that, the locked in revenue going forward for prediction. That gives you stability. I think that's going to happen with a lot of these properties that have fallen out of the condition to compete in the new market, and that they'll get a revamp and convert to residential space or long-term leases. I think that's where it's going to go.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges, I think maybe for the uptick, is that I don't know if they've converted or they've just started in this new model, but it's a much smaller employee footprint as far as cleaning and everything else, because it's not as massive, and people are, if they have a longer term lease, they manage their own, but maybe they have 30 rooms or 90 rooms that they need to deal with on a more regular basis, and they're just having a hard time with the continuity of delivery of service for what the guest is experiencing. So they've been reaching out, and some of them are really trying in earnest to develop a hybrid platform for how to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, and a lot of those hotels should have done that a while ago. I know that market pretty well, and a lot of those hotels have just been hanging on for even during the good times, because we all know that in the summer everybody eats, but all the other months it's Universal and it's Disney World, and if you're anywhere outside of that footprint, you're in trouble. And I ran a hotel in that market.
Right.
And so those hotels probably should have done this a couple of years ago.
Yeah, makes a whole lot of sense. Anthony, we got some people talking about resort fees, and for Peter, Steve, and Dan, Anthony and I have two very different, distinct points of view on this. I'm very anti-resort fee from my consumer point of view. Anthony is very pro it from an operator point of view. People are questioning whether or not those are still valid. Anthony, how are you feeling about those today?
All right. Well, just to put it in perspective, I am not pro resort fee.
Right. You understand.
I'm pro keeping employees working. And so I am definitely not pro resort fee. I'm pro keeping everything working. And, not to go into here, we've talked about before. And I was very impressed before when you were giving the answer about revenue management, Glenn. You seemed very educated on the subject. So good job. You sound like a hotelier for a second.
Crazy. Thank God that second's over.
For many reasons, I support it when it's necessary, but unfortunately, a lot of hotels take advantage of it when they don't need it. Or I was just talking to someone, you're not going to believe it. It's a $1 billion hotel. It's in an A market, and they still have free local phone calls on their menu of resort fees. Okay, really? When was the last time anyone made a local phone call from their hotel room?
Look, so any day now it'll be 1997 again, and that'll be really valuable.
Right.
I'm not
free 1-800 calls without a commission.
Don't worry.
You got to update what you're using resort fees for. And I think if you give value, now is a really good time to do that, because now is really a time to differentiate yourself from everyone else.
Right. And you're correct, Chad. Disney is now charging for parking, something that they did not do prior. I think they're hitting people up for 20 plus.
And I think Chad may be texting us or listening to us from Iraq, if I'm not mistaken.
He is.
Resort fees remind me of baggage fees for airlines and stuff like that. All these fees. You get your bill, and there's more fees than your actual room night or your restaurant, or it's just all fees. Build the stuff in, figure it out, build it in. Here's your rate, done and dusted.
Well, yeah, it's easier said than done, but I'm looking forward to the resort fee for calculating all the resort fees. You're going to get a fee to calculate all the fees.
Right.
Peter's like, that doesn't make any sense.
I think you should have it called the sanitization and cleanliness fee, and then boom, there we got the revenue for these guys.
Yeah, I would love that, but that's like going into a hospital and saying, there's going to be, I don't know, a mask fee. It's like people just expect you to have clean rooms, but people have literally thought about that. Brands have thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they absolutely have. Peter, you look like you're ready to talk.
No, I just say the kind of clean room fee would be less. So you have the clean room fee and the sort of clean room fee, and they're different.
I like that.
Well, that would be some of the hotels we're talking about in Orlando.
Right, that's correct.
I think, as far as from the cleaning perspective go, what we've found is that all the people that work in the hotels, they know what they're supposed to do, but the real missing ingredient is they don't know why they're supposed to do what they're doing. So if you can explain the process, like going from top to bottom, going counterclockwise, that go from cleanest to dirtiest, change your rags, don't spray product, soap product, let a dwell time. What's a dwell time? Like, there's all these interesting questions that are really surprising. And I think if you teach people why they do things, it changes the whole tenor. It makes everyone more confident, and guests feel that.
Yeah,
and we looked into that. It's funny you mentioned that. We were looking into. There's a lot of technology in hotels, right? It's expensive technology too. All your screens and all that sort of stuff. It's expensive technology, and we were looking at the way people were using microfiber cloths. They're spraying Windex and all this stuff all over there. And we worked with a company and came up with the fact that they're destroying their technology with this stuff. And in fact, I think there's one product, Glenn, I don't know if I sent you any information on it. It's called the iCloth.
Oh, I did. And Stephen, you did not give me a chance to elegantly bring it in once you mentioned technology. So let me tee it up for you real quick here. The iPhone is really cool too because it's a high-grade isopropyl screen wipes. Major airline pilots are using them to clean the cockpits, for example. And you're right, with more screens installed, you really need to think about the right cleaning method. And some of the other things that we've talked about today might not make sense for a highly delicate piece of technology, right?
Well, if you want a TV, you want to own it for, Anthony, you can tell me 5, 6, 7 years. You keep spraying Windex on it and wiping it with a microfiber cloth, you're scratching it, it's deteriorating, and all of a sudden you wonder why your screen has gone dark on you. And it's because you've got to use the right products. And a product like this it's being tested. As I say, pilots use it because of all the expensive equipment they have in the cockpit, and they wipe down their whole cockpit with it. So that's other stuff that we've been looking into, so that the long-term investment for the hotelier is protected as well.
Interesting.
And building off that, Stephen, and knowing like what and how and why, we found that a lot of the electronics, many of the room attendants are scared to touch them because they feel like they'll ruin them and their pay will get docked.
Yeah.
And when you go to these, like even the remote control, which everyone knows is dirty, and a 57 or less is a passing grade. I'm testing some of these, it's over 3,000. And then in some cases, we've been to some properties where they have these plastic sleeves to put the remotes into, but then they're not changing the plastic sleeves. So you test the plastic sleeves and they're disgusting too. So It's really like changing behaviors, teaching people why we do these things, and showing them that if you use the right product, like you said, Stephen, they're not going to damage the products that are in the room.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
And I agree with everything that everyone just said. The biggest problem is turnover, and the biggest problem is training. Keeping a housekeeping staff today is nearly impossible. I don't care what market you're in. I don't care who you are. I don't care what brand you are. It is nearly impossible.
Why is that, Anthony? Why is that in this day and age where a job is gold and you'd be thinking they're wanting to keep the jobs? Is there any insight into that?
Well, if you're talking about this year, it's simply because of unemployment. You got paid a lot more money to stay home than you did to work, number one. Number two, a lot of other jobs are getting close to the wage that you get paid cleaning a room. So would you rather pour coffee in Dunkin' Donuts or clean 18 rooms a day for the same wage? Okay. And even pre-COVID, when I was down in Orlando market, you would get, listen to this, you would get, if you stayed on for, I think it was 6 months, could have been 90 days, you got $5,000 from Walt Disney World to stay as a housekeeper. And it's not like you have to stay and then stay for another year. You get that as long as you stay, you get that. If you charge 25% or you pay 25% more, okay, 25 cents more, they would go to a different place. It's a hard job. And
So Anthony,
people are not seeing it. People are not seeing it. We were just having this conversation the other day. People aren't seeing it as a career. You know, we were talking about diversity. Well, your biggest mix of diversity is in housekeeping. If you really made people feel like this is a career where you can become an assistant general manager, front desk manager, then there's pride. Like Dan was saying before, there's nothing more that a housekeeper loves than you showing them the why, showing them, giving them pride, like telling them why we're doing this and why your job is important. There's nothing more. But you have a lot of burnt out supervisors, assistant managers in housekeeping that have a difficult time training because they're training new employees every 5 seconds.
So Anthony, this is really interesting because we actually do this in hospitals where we educate people, we train them, and then based on their performance on tests and practical examinations over the course of a year through our ongoing Canary Cares program, they can get a bump in pay on an hourly rate from 10 cents to a quarter, it depends. And we actually have, while we've done this in hospitals for a while, we actually have a few clients or prospective clients that are asking us to take that model to their housekeeping team and the supervisors of them. And the reason why they're doing it, and you see like some people really believe in values and some people just talk about values, but the ones that really believe in the core values of their company, they're saying this is a great career path. If we can do this and pay them a little bit more and show them the why and engage them, the theory is that the turnover will go down. So I believe in this theory and hypothesis. We just haven't been around long enough to prove it.
I agree with you. And as long as it's not a union city, because a union city, you'll get into trouble with that kind of that kind of system. You know, one of the things I've done, and I did it down in Orlando, was I gave people self-inspection. So if you had a 99%, you know, every time we inspected your room, you got into the self-inspection. And once you got to the self-inspection, then you can leave whenever you want. So if I gave you 12 rooms to clean and you had 7.5 hours to clean them and you clean them in 4 hours, and you know, and we'll inspect you every couple of weeks, and you stay in the self-inspection program, then you are motivated because you can get home in 4.5 hours, do everything you said, and still get paid the same amount of money. So there's lots of different ways we try, but I will tell you, I've been around the best housekeepers, director of housekeepers in the world, best managers, and this is the Achilles heels of hotels, period, end of story.
I say let's get rid of resort fee and put a housekeeper fee in there, and I'll pay an extra $5 a room a night for a housekeeper fee.
The good news is I really like what Dan's saying because everything you're saying, and you said something about people that really have pride and people who talk about pride and talk about values, and 90% of the people that I know in the industry, and I'm not talking in my career prior to Hotel Impossible, but in Hotel Impossible, they talk about, but they don't really do it.
Anthony, I've been in the industry since, I'm sorry to talk over you, but I've been in the industry since I was 19 years old, from furnishing to now this, and furnishing and this. Right. And it's been that's been the hardest part for me going through this. Now I know we're in this existential thing, but like what I'm seeing is the majority of hotels out there just talk about their values. They don't actually believe in them. And we want to find the ones that believe in their values and live them. We just discussed that today. I'm working on a project, and we just discussed that today. Are we going to talk about it? Or are we going to be about it? But the good news is, because housekeeping is changing the expectations of the guests, you are going to have more focused on the checkout. So you'll have more resources. Your supervisors, in my opinion, won't be as burnt out because you won't be turning those rooms every day. You won't be having, going in every night to 1,200 rooms. So I really think now is the time. If you're going to really be about it, now is the time. But Dan, the biggest problem, and you know better than anyone, the biggest problem in our industry is motivating a housekeeping team. And a lot of teams have done it well. And I'm not going to call out any brand, but there's one brand in particular. I think that's a standard 15 years ago, and truly is, to me, and Glenn knows my favorite brand, has done it consistently. I've been to 50 of their hotels in America. And which one?
I'm not telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to cleanliness, like I'll tell people typically on the show, and people that watch the show know what I'm talking, who know, because I will talk about my favorite brand. But in this specific instance, I don't think it's fair to talk about one brand.
Was Horst Schulte involved in it?
No, not at all.
Because I was talking to him early on, and he was saying when he was at Ritz-Carlton, his retention was over 70% or something, whereas most people would lose 70% on an annualized basis. So he was like hands and feet above whatever the industry.
Hold on. But if you look at Ritz-Carlton against a Four Seasons or against a St. Regis, they're probably within a couple of percentage points of each other. So you have to look at it compared to other 5-star hotels or high 4.5 stars. When you compare it into the overall market, I don't think that really stands up, because it's a different level. I mean, they're paid more, their environment's better, they have less rooms. It's just a different thing. And to be honest with you, those type of housekeepers have, not saying that a lot of housekeepers don't have pride, but they see it more as a career. You look at a Ritz-Carlton housekeeper that's been doing it for 15 years. She has as much pride of what she does as you and I.
Yeah. Well, and that's, again, it's finding those people who want to build this career path and engage people and teach them why and empower them and educate them and make them look forward to coming back to work. Like, that's what we're all about. That's why we started Blue Canary, because it started as a puzzle where I was like, what I do is inconsequential. Why I do what I do is I get to shorten people's journeys. So what I wanted to do was figure out a way, this was back last March, to get housekeepers, engineers, and hotel ops teams back to work safely so that we all can go back to normal. That's all we want.
Right. So I think what we're really been discussing today is ways to help engage your staff, ways to help get the properties clean while also saving money. And to me, that means using a lot of Steven's products in your property to make sure they're cleaned, engaging Dan as to the why this is all done, and then going ahead and working with Peter to lower your utility costs and your property taxes all at the same time. Boom! This is a trifecta of opportunity for everybody out there.
Love it, Glenn.
You know, Glenn, I really don't know why I'm even here anymore. Like, I am so unnecessary.
Anthony, we love you. All right, guys. We got to start wrapping up this show, but how about some final thoughts? And I think each of you have earned a extra shameless plug today. Dan, let's start with you, sir.
Again, it's all about the why. Like, let's just learn why we're doing these things. When we do that, everyone is more confident. Once the teams on site are more confident, guests feed that, it becomes this positive feedback loop. I'm sick of talking about negative feedback loops. We got to build positive feedback loops to get everyone confident to travel again.
Yep. Excellent. How can we find you, man?
You can find me at www.bluecanarysolutions.com or email me dr@bluecanarysolutions.com or find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm up as the Daily Dan Ryan.
Cool. Dan, one quick question for you in regards to this. How long are you with the hotel when you come on site and you help them?
So it's an ongoing cycle. So when we start, usually there's a 2 to 5 day onboarding, depending on the size of the hotel. Then monthly, we do remote education check-ins based on the themes and topics that we identify. And then every quarter in our normal Canary Cares program, we're there for at least 2 days doing observation, education, and coaching.
Excellent. Stephen, how about yourself, sir?
We're a products and services company, flat out. We've been concentrating on a lot of the reopening stuff, as you saw, and getting the hotels ready with their protocols and cleanliness and so forth. But we've, of course, got a whole suite of products that we can supply into the hotel market. And we are a distributor. So we do use a network of resellers, which a lot of your hoteliers out there are already working with. So if you want to reach out to them and discuss some of the products we talked about today, they'll contact us, and then we can help them with all the information that you need. But if you do want to look at some more of the stuff that we have, it's hospitality.almoproav.com.
And if you need any good advice on thoroughbred racing, Stephen McKay is Peter, how about yourself, sir?
So, the truth of life is you can only spend money once. So I ask people, if I give you $100, would you give me 50? And I think that'd be a fair trade. But really working with us is a lot like putting on a pair of pants and finding money in your pocket. What you want to do with that money, I suggest get some stuff for cleaning your place and training how to use it. But we can find money that's just floating through your budget and get you to spend it somewhere else.
Awesome. How do we find you, sir?
Actually, if you're landed, give me a call. Cell phone 574-575-0670. I'd love to talk shop, or go to brightsupport.net/hotels.
Excellent. And there is nothing in the world more satisfying than finding a $20 bill in your pocket that you didn't know was there, right? It's the most incredible feeling you got. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate all of you.
Thanks. Enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Anthony, I know we can't see you too well. We're going to try to bring that back in. There you are. It looks like your internet's working a little bit better, so nice to see you. All right. So, James Tristler says, Anthony, don't be so hard on yourself. You're the best in the industry. He's not being hard on himself. He's trying to help me with my very fragile ego, James. Okay, so don't worry.
You're on fire, bro. I was listening to you in the green room, and you're it's just it's an honor to be with you and listen to you and how you really you're a maestro, my brother.
I appreciate that. And right back at you, my friend. Man, I love doing the show with you every day. Now I got to ask you a question.
Okay, sir.
Dan said something that really took me by surprise, that me not being an operations guy was shocked to hear, but the flow of the conversation, I couldn't say it. He said that housekeeping is scared sometimes to touch the technology because they could break it and it'll be deducted from their salary.
Say it one more time. Say that one more time.
Sometimes if the housekeeping might break a piece of technology and they're worried that it'll be deducted from their salary.
Yeah. Some hotels, again, it depends on, listen, it depends. If it depends on the owner. You know this industry is run by,
but I don't want it to happen.
This industry is run by owners, right? And so you have good owners, you have owners that shouldn't be in this business. Listen, I've seen people, and you've seen the show, I've seen people where you're not allowed to use a mop. You have to scrub on your hands and knees. A housekeeper has to go upstairs and look at stains on a mattress or on a bedspread and tell the guest they can't get their $25 deposit back. So it all comes down. I don't care. Listen, we know great brands. You get a great brand with a bad owner, you have a bad brand, period. So yeah, of course it happens. And I just want to say, Chad, I believe, Chad, you're listening from Iraq. You're in the United States Air Force, and you're keeping us safe, and I truly appreciate that, my brother.
All right. Excellent. And guys, listen, use these folks to your advantage. Go talk to Bright and work with Peter Salveson. He is there to be your salvation when it comes to saving money on property taxes and lowering your expenses.
You know, you were doing a great job until you did that.
I couldn't help it. It would not be a show until I brought in a horrible dad type joke. You know?
Yeah, that was really, really bad. But anyway, so let's talk about. I know I got to go. You got to go. Let's talk about one thing in the news. Okay. So what's the first thing that comes in your head, hotel wise, that's in the news? Anything?
No, but I did see that United Airlines is implementing a program for a like e-passport type of thing, so you can upload your negative tests for COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's interesting. That's going to be interesting to see in the next couple of weeks, next couple of months, how many people are going to require that. I don't think that's a bad idea. I really don't.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. While we were online, I just got confirmation. I've been working on this for a while. It looks like former Ambassador Gordon Sunland is going to be joining us.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty cool. So that'll be awesome. He, of course, owns Providence Hotels, if you folks out there don't know it, but he did work in the previous administration as an real legitimate ambassador. So that's going to be pretty cool.
My biggest question to him is, how does he fit on a plane? He's like 7'2".
That's a good point. I have a feeling he might fly private. He's done well by himself.
Yeah, no, actually, after he gave up his ambassadorship, he was caught on a commercial jet when everybody started saying things.
Yeah. When you're talking about stuff that's going on in the hotel business, I see a lot of folks are making their announcements that they're going to be doing their fourth quarter results coming up in the next couple of weeks. That should be really interesting as well. But was there something specific that you wanted to talk about?
Well, yeah, but I'll bring it up next time because it's about an iconic hotel that closed. Well, I'll bring it up now. The one in LA. What was the hotel that just closed? Yeah, that was horrible. But the good news is there's going to be somebody come in and scoop that up. Yep. And you know, and I also think that hotel's been a little long in the tooth and needs a little bit of a rebirth anyway.
Yep. Yeah, at last year's Alice conference, which takes place in downtown LA, there were a number of people that were staying at that hotel, and they were discussing how it needed a little bit more love to be.
And not only love for the FF&E, but love in just reimagining it. I think it needs to be reimagined. That was cool. That was cool 20 years ago. It's not. It's you know, people have outlived that kind of hotel. Also, I just want to say, our favorite travel agent I was talking to yesterday. And she told me that things are on fire. Yeah. So things are really moving.
She's going to be back for an opening show segment, I think, next week. So we worked that out. Also, I hate to miss a really, really horrible joke, but about that hotel, it looks like the new owners, will they be looking to create a new standard in hospitality?
Yes. I don't think so. I don't think they'll be able to create a new standard in hospitality because the new standard of hospitality is an old standard of hospitality. Take care of people.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Dave said, where's the womp womp sound effect? Let me see if I could do that.
I'm proud of you. You really restrain yourself from using that.
Oh, well, you threatened me with bodily harm. If
I kind of did, didn't I? Yeah. So tomorrow, I am so excited about tomorrow. We have an incredible guest. And if you are interested, tomorrow's Thursday, right?
Tomorrow's Wednesday. Although Raj Trivedi is an incredible guest, but you're not referring to Raj.
No. Raj, I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And Glenn can tell us all about you, but I'm going to talk about Thursday. I'll drop his name and who he is on tomorrow's show. But Thursday, I am like a 3-year-old. I'm so excited about having this guest. He is, let's just put it this way. They call him Mr. New York for a reason.
All right. Excellent. I can't wait for that one. All right. I know who it is, but I'm not ruining any secrets. I'm not going to steal Anthony's thunder over there. Anthony, anything else before we wrap this up today?
No. Some exciting things that, remember I told you, you go dark and you go quiet for a while and then you come out with some big things.
Mm-hmm.
Big announcement next week.
Oh, I can't wait to hear what that is. All right, everybody. I'll be holding my breath till then. Hopefully I won't turn blue. Thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate all of you for listening and tuning in to No Vacancy Live every single day. Don't forget, check out Bright Solutions, Peter Salveson. Go check out Almo Pro AV. They're going to really help you out with their hospitality stuff. And Dan Ryan's an awesome guy that's going to help you get up to speed with stuff right now. All right, everybody, remember, you got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.
see you all tomorrow.